Life 20,000 years ago. The Ice Age and the rise of hunters. The spear tip trembled in Kayla's frozen grip as she crouched behind the ice-crusted boulder, watching the massive woolly mammoth lumber through the valley below. One mistake, one poorly thrown spear, and her entire clan would starve through the endless winter that had already claimed 3 moons of their lives. But success meant survival, warmth, and stories that would echo through generations yet unborn. This was not just another hunt. This was 20,000 years ago, at the height of the Last Glacial Maximum, when ice sheets stretched across continents like frozen oceans and humanity stood at the precipice between extinction and transformation. What happened in moments like these didn't just determine who lived or died, it shaped the very essence of what it meant to be human. The frozen world that forged us picture Earth as UV and never seen it. A planet where ice sheets 2 miles thick buried what we now call New York, London, and Berlin under crushing white silence. Sea levels had plummeted by 400 feet, exposing vast land bridges that connected continents. The Bering Land Bridge stretched like a frozen highway between Asia and North America, while Britain was merely the northwestern tip of a European peninsula. But this wasn't a lifeless wasteland. The Ice Age had created something extraordinary, a vast, game-rich grassland called the Mammoth Steppe, stretching from Spain to Alaska. Here, in this seemingly hostile world, our ancestors didn't just survive. They thrived in ways that would fundamentally alter the trajectory of human evolution. The cold was relentless, but it was also opportunity. While the ice locked away water and transformed landscapes, it created new ecological niches, teeming with massive herbivores, woolly mammoths weighing 6 tons, cave bears standing 10 feet tall on their hind legs, and giant elk with antlers spanning 12 feet. These weren't just animals. They were walking treasure troves of meat, fur, bone, and fat that could sustain human communities for months. The birth of the master hunters, 20,000 years ago, marked a pivotal moment in human development. The emergence of specialized big game hunters whose skills, technologies, and social organization would become legendary. These weren't the crude, club-wielding primitives of popular imagination. These were sophisticated strategists, master craftsmen, and innovative thinkers, whose ingenuity rivals anything we see today. Archaeological evidence from sites like Vistanis in the Czech Republic and Malta in Siberia reveals communities that had mastered complex technologies we are still trying to fully understand. They carved intricate Venus figurines from mammoth ivory, created the world's first fired ceramic objects, and developed weapon systems so effective they could bring down animals 20 times their size. Their spear throwers, or atlatls, could launch projectiles with the force of a modern crossbow. Their composite tools, crafted from bone, antler, stone, and wood, represented engineering principles that wouldn't be rediscovered for millennia. Most remarkably, they developed sophisticated hunting strategies that required unprecedented levels of cooperation, communication, and forward planning. But here's where the story takes an unexpected turn, one that challenges everything we thought we knew about prehistoric intelligence. The Great Mammoth Conspiracy. Recent discoveries have revealed something that borders on the incredible. These Ice Age hunters weren't just opportunistic scavengers picking off weak animals. They were conducting complex, multi-generational hunting operations that required levels of organization previously thought impossible for prehistoric societies. At sites across Europe and Asia, archaeologists have uncovered evidence of massive mammoth kill sites where dozens of these giants were slaughtered in coordinated drives. The Predmosty site in the Czech Republic contained remains of over 1,000 mammoths, along with elaborate structures built from mammoth bones, not temporary shelters, but permanent installations that suggest these locations were used for generations. The hunters had learned to read the landscape like a book, identifying natural funnels and bottlenecks where herds could be trapped. They created artificial barriers using mammoth bones and constructed ingenious pit traps camouflaged with branches and snow. Most remarkably, they developed a sophisticated understanding of mammoth behavior, migration patterns, and social structures that allowed them to predict where and when these massive animals would be most vulnerable. Evidence suggests they even practiced a form of prehistoric conservation, taking only what they needed and allowing herds to regenerate. This wasn't mindless slaughter, it was sustainable resource management. They kept both human communities and mammoth populations thriving for thousands of years. The social revolution in ice, the demands of Ice Age hunting triggered a social revolution that laid the foundation for all future human civilization. Bringing down a mammoth required not just individual skill, but unprecedented levels of cooperation. Hunting parties of 20 to 30 individuals had to coordinate their movements with split-second timing, communicate silently across vast distances, and trust their lives to companions whose reactions could mean the difference between triumph and catastrophe. This necessity for cooperation drove the development of complex language, symbolic thinking, and social hierarchies. The famous cave paintings of Lascaux and Chauvet weren't mere decoration, they were sophisticated teaching tools, training manuals, and repositories of accumulated hunting wisdom passed down through generations. Archaeological evidence reveals that successful hunting communities developed elaborate gift exchange networks that stretched across thousands of miles. Shells from the Mediterranean have been found in Siberian sites, while Arctic ivory appears in settlements near the Black Sea. These weren't random trades. They represented complex diplomatic relationships that helped communities share critical information about game movements, weather patterns, and successful hunting techniques. The tools that changed everything, the technological innovations of Ice Age hunters, represent one of humanity's greatest creative explosions. Working with limited materials and harsh conditions, they developed solutions that were often more elegant and effective than their modern equivalents. Their clothing technology alone was revolutionary, using techniques that combined the best aspects of tailoring, engineering, and artistry. They created layered clothing systems that provided protection in temperatures that could drop to -40 degrees Fahrenheit. The famous Iceman Seas, though from a later period, wore similar technology, a sophisticated ensemble of leather, fur, and woven grass that kept him warm at high altitudes. Their weapons represented the cutting edge of prehistoric engineering. Composite spears with detachable heads, specialized tools for different types of game, and throwing devices that multiplied human strength several times over. Perhaps most remarkably, they developed the world's first long-distance weapon spears that could kill from distances of over 100 feet, fundamentally changing the relationship between hunter and prey. And then came the discovery that changed everything we thought we knew about prehistoric creativity: the art of survival. In 2019, archaeologists working in a cave in Spain made a discovery that sent shockwaves through the academic world. Hidden beneath layers of Ice Age sediment, they found something unprecedented: a sophisticated star map carved into mammoth ivory, showing constellations exactly as they would have appeared 20,000 years ago. This wasn't just artistic expression, it was evidence of complex astronomical knowledge used for navigation, seasonal planning, and timekeeping. The hunters weren't just surviving. They were developing scientific understanding that allowed them to predict weather patterns, track seasonal changes, and navigate across vast territories using the stars as their guide. Similar discoveries across Europe and Asia have revealed that Ice Age communities possessed knowledge systems far more sophisticated than previously imagined. They understood mathematical concepts, developed counting systems, and created calendars based on lunar cycles. Cave paintings that were once dismissed as primitive art are now recognized as complex information storage systems, prehistoric databases containing everything from hunting techniques to territorial boundaries. The seeds of civilization as the ice began to retreat around 15,000 years ago. The specialized hunting communities found themselves facing an unexpected challenge. The massive herds they had depended on for millennia were disappearing, not just due to climate change, but because their own success as hunters had helped drive many species toward extinction. But the skills, technologies, and social structures developed during the Ice Age didn't disappear. Instead, they transformed. The cooperation required for mammoth hunts became the foundation for agricultural communities. The tool-making techniques used for spears became the basis for farming implements. The social networks that facilitated long-distance trade became the infrastructure for the first cities. Most importantly, the Ice Age hunters had developed something that would prove more valuable than any tool or technique. They had learned to adapt, innovate, and overcome seemingly impossible challenges through collective intelligence and creative problem-solving. The legacy of ice today, as we face our own environmental challenges, the story of Ice Age hunters offers both inspiration and warning. These remarkable people showed that humans could not only survive in the harshest conditions imaginable, but could thrive, create, and build sophisticated societies even when the world seemed determined to destroy them. Their legacy lives on, in our DNA, not just the genetic adaptations that helped them survive extreme cold, but the cognitive and social traits that allowed them to transform a hostile world into the foundation of human civilization. Every time we cooperate to solve a complex problem, use tools to extend our capabilities, or create art to share our deepest experiences, we're channeling the innovative spirit of those mammoth hunters who refused to surrender to the ice. The spear that trembled in Kala's hand 20,000 years ago didn't just bring down a mammoth, it launched humanity toward a future none of them could have imagined, where their descendants would reshape the entire planet and reach for the stars.